Hey, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. After seeing other YouTubers open up about their lives and struggles, I decided it's time to put my own mental health issues on the table. It's not pretty, but it's real, and I think it's important to share it. So, here it is, my messy, uncomfortable mental health journey. I've never been super secretive about this stuff, but I've also never talked about it as openly as I want to. Why? Because I always feel like no one cares about my dumb problems. But guess what? Everyone has problems. Even those turtles that eat plastic bags. They've got serious issues, like breathing. My problems might not be as life-threatening as theirs, but they're still real to me. I'm just a shy, quiet, anxious introvert. If you're like me, you've probably heard people talking about anxiety, awkwardness, and depression all the time. It's become so common that it might even feel cliché at this point. But while I enjoy the occasional dark joke about these topics, they can be oddly comforting. I also think it's important not to forget what anxiety really is. For starters, anxiety isn't the same as narcissism, though I've had people confuse the two. Narcissism is when you're full of yourself, convinced that everyone loves you. Anxiety, on the other hand, is when your mind is out of balance, and you're overwhelmed with stress and worry. It's not about thinking you're great, it's about fearing that everyone else thinks you're worthless. And that's something I've struggled with for a long time. My anxiety mostly comes in the form of social anxiety, which means I hate myself and assume everyone else does too. Awesome, right? There's this old Greek myth about Narcissus, a guy who fell in love with his own reflection and died staring at it. If he had a brother named Social Anxietus, that guy would probably have a panic attack at the thought of people looking at him, then blame himself for having the panic attack in the first place. That's what anxiety feels like. It's irrational, relentless, and exhausting. I've seen people misunderstand anxiety, saying things like, "Oh, you think everyone's looking at you? Get over yourself." But it's not that simple. It's not about thinking you're the center of attention because you're awesome. It's about fearing that everyone is judging you harshly, even if you have no evidence to support that belief. As a kid, I didn't have many things bothering me. My biggest concerns were staying up past 10 p.m. and convincing my parents to buy me mechanical pencils. But even back then, there was this weird nervousness that followed me everywhere. It wasn't intense all the time, but it was there, lurking in the background. For example, whenever I went to the bathroom, I felt like people were watching me through the cracks in the doors or the little marks on the ceiling, like there were eyes on me all the time. Even though I knew that wasn't realistic, the feeling didn't go away. And that's almost worse because it makes you feel like you're going crazy in your own head. But at the time, I just thought everyone had paranoid thoughts like that. Doesn't everyone worry that the people on the bus hate them because their backpack is too blue? Weird. Pass me that red marker. The constant uneasiness never fully goes away, even though I wasn't really conscious of it at first. Once in my senior year of high school, I was in my English class, and we were discussing the differences between men and women and the topic of sexism. There were a lot of good points brought up, and I wanted to contribute, so I raised my hand. And almost immediately, I started shaking. My palms were sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy. There wasn't vomit on my sweater, thankfully, but you get the idea. Why was I suddenly feeling like I wanted to crawl into a ravine and eat rocks alone in the dark? No one was forcing me to talk, so why was I freaking out? When I finally spoke, I was shaking even more, and my throat felt like it was closing up. I tried to make a point about how facts aren't inherently sexist, but I ended up stumbling over my words and wondering, who am I? What am I even saying? It was in that moment that it hit me, oh, I have anxiety. Great. Now what? Do I feel better? Not really. In fact, I think I feel worse. When I went to college, I was finally on my own, which meant I had more time to think on my own. And that's when I realized, wait a second, I'm not happy, and I hate myself. Anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, eating disorders, they all started piling up like unwanted junk mail. Who signed me up for all of this? I want to be taken off this list. But seriously, I've known about these issues for a while now, and the thing is, people struggling with mental illness are generally aware that something's wrong. The hard part is admitting it to yourself and others. It's terrifying because once you acknowledge it, you feel even more hopeless. It's like when you're lost and you finally admit, yep, we're lost. Now what? It's scary to face the fact that you're not okay, and it makes you feel even more lost than before. For the longest time, I thought opening up about my problems would just drag others down with me or make things messy. So, I pulled a full-on John Mulaney and decided to keep all my emotions bottled up. But, surprise, bottling things up didn't help at all. It actually made things worse. Eventually, the stress became so intense that I realized I couldn't keep going like this. Even though I was terrified, I started opening up to close friends and family about what I was going through. I also started seeing a therapist. At first, it felt weird, like, hello, stranger with a degree. I'm here to tell you why I'm broken. But as time went on, it got easier, and I realized how important it is to find the right therapist who you feel comfortable with. Now, let me be clear, these steps aren't magic fixes. I wish they were. But having support from people who care about you makes a huge difference. When the weight of your problems becomes too much to bear on your own, the people who care about you will step up and help carry the load. They're not going to stand by and watch you get squished. So, don't be afraid to reach out to those who care about you. If you saw someone struggling, you wouldn't hesitate to help them, right? So, let others do the same for you. At the end of the day, mental health is super important, and while I'm not an expert on happiness, I think it's something you learn about and get better at over time. It takes a lot of trial and error to figure out what keeps you afloat, but every experience teaches you something new. Thank you for all the support you've given me recently. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm super appreciative of everything. I've been feeling good lately, and it's been a while since I could say that honestly. So, I'm just breathing it in and acknowledging how good it feels to feel good. I know I'm rambling now, so I'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.